Tonight, Kaduna State Security Council meets to review multi-dimensional response to security challenges in southern Kaduna. Senate denies receiving COVID-19 largesse from Niger Delta Development Commission, contrary to allegations that each senator got 20 million naira. African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina sworn in for a second 5-year term. Independent National Electoral Commission dismisses allegations of conniving with some parties to rig the Edo governorship poll. And U.S. President Donald Trump brands Kenosha Mayor a fool over recent protests that have rocked the city. Plus, business, sports, and later from our studios in London.
On business news tonight, the president of the African Development Bank, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, pledges to expand its partnership across all areas of interest on the continent.
On sports news tonight, Swiss investigators question former FIFA president Sepp Blatter over a $2 million payment he authorized in 2011 to Michel Platini.
And more efforts are being intensified to address the security challenges in southern Kaduna, and the State Security Council says it is not leaving anything to chance at finding a lasting solution to the problem. The enlarged Security Council meeting held at the State Government House today, it brought together heads of security agencies and representatives of traditional institutions. The consensus is that dialogue is a viable way out of the crisis.
The violence in Kaduna State has been on for a long time, and too numerous to mention. What could be described as worrisome is how little appears to have been achieved from countless dialogue sessions between warring factions, religious and ethnic. The attacks in recent times have left thousands killed and many others rendered homeless. Understanding that dialogue is perhaps the first step towards achieving peace, this meeting between Christians and Muslim leaders is one of many that have been held. The Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has also met with Christian leaders to discuss ways of putting an end to the violence in southern Kaduna. Just like this Security Council meeting at the Government House in Kaduna, to map out strategies on how to bring about an end to the attacks in the state.
You can see the peace-building process is aggressively on motion. So many people are coming in, so many activities are on, and we will continue to do that. We will double up what we are doing. That is part of the non-kinetic approach to peace building, and we will sustain the tempo.
The issue of Southern Kaduna, I think I can say without missing with that we are on top of the situation. There are pockets of attacks here and there, but I think the situation is now under the control of the security, and there is peace for now.
For now, two words the people would rather have rephrased and said as never again.
In the meantime, in Enugu State, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi also held an emergency security meeting today where he ordered the immediate joint patrol of the entire state by all security agencies. This is coming on the heels of a recent attack on a police station and a railway police station by bandits. The governor also identified the need to bring traditional and religious bodies together to nip the rising security breach in the bud.
As governor, I'm committed to unearthing the cause of this untoward event. I'm saddened by the loss of lives and determined to put machinery in motion to forestall future reoccurrence. In the meantime, the State Security Council today approved the immediate joint patrol by all security agencies and a meeting with traditional rulers, religious and opinion leaders to hold on Thursday, 3rd September 2020 at Government House, Enugu. I hereby appeal that those in custody of weapons snatched from security agencies return them to security agencies or the nearest traditional ruler, who will return same to the appropriate security agency. I appeal for calm and understanding of all concerned as we work together to sustain the long-existing and cherished peace in Enugu State.
Staying with security, about 3,000 residents of Jibia local government area of Katsina State who were forced to abandon their various homes last week due to frequent bandit attacks have returned to their communities. The villagers had been taking refuge in Jibia since Thursday last week and were accommodated at the town's model primary school. The chairman of Jibia Internally Displaced Persons Committee says security operatives had been instructed to stay at the villages to protect the communities. Meanwhile, the military says troops of Operation Sahel Sanity recently arrested 9 suspected bandits and neutralized 3 others in Katsina and in some parts of Zamfara state. From Katsina, we move to Nasarawa State, where Governor Abdullahi Sule has commended security officials for the recent dislodgement of terrorists from forest areas at the borders of Nasarawa and Kogi states. The security officials had in a combined operation tagged Nutcracker, burst terrorist camps in a bomb-making factory, where they recovered over 700 women and children who have mostly been repatriated to some northern states. He made the comments when he received 78 squadron commanders who are in Combat Squadron Course 1 at the Mobile Police Training College in the state.
I want to use the opportunity, as some of you know, that some operations are ongoing right now here in Nasarawa State, where the combined forces of the military, both Army, Navy, Air Force, DSS and the police are actually working one another to dislodge a team that had come in and targeting the FCT. That they come in and they were able to dislodge these people. I want to thank the military for the wonderful job they are doing. So far we have taken over 700 victims, close to 800 victims, wives and children of these bandits that have run away. And we are taking care of them, and we have started posting them to the various states of their origin. Some of them are just victims, that found themselves there for crime they didn't commit, not because they wanted to be there. This is coming as a result of your commitment to security, commitment to the safety of our own people, and I want to urge you to continue the good work.
In the meantime, the Ondo State Police Command has confirmed the abduction of the Chief Medical Director of the General Hospital in Idwani, Mr. Olufemi Adiogun. Also kidnapped at gunpoint with the CMD were 2 other persons with him in the vehicle. The police said the victims were abducted on their way to Owo last night and that efforts are already ongoing to track down the abductors and rescue the victims. Away from security, the Senate has denied a statement credited to the NDDC's Executive Director Projects, Dr. Cairo Drobo, alleging that senators received 20 million naira each from the agency as COVID-19 relief fund. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Ajibola Bashir, is challenging Dr. Drobo to publicly provide evidence of his claim and list the names of the senators that he alleged gave the sum. He was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
I'm a senator of the Federal Republic. I did not receive a kobo. And I also know that none of my colleagues in the National Assembly received a kobo as COVID palliative. It is very important to say that the idea of scandalizing Nigerian Senate and the entire National Assembly, anytime we decide to exercise our power of oversight, is really mind-boggling. We may have to take legislative action for such baseless allegation. While we respect people coming to criticize us, criticism must be on the basis of fact, and criticism must be based with a view to improving our system. Criticism must not be on outright falsehood, calculating to smear the National Assembly members. We are people who, in our own private concern and professional endeavor, have done our best in the service of the society. We do not deserve any attempt to scandalize us. I surely say that no National Assembly member collected a kobo.
Staying with the legislature, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, has received the blessing of President Muhammadu Buhari to embark on a legislative diplomacy visit to Ghana tomorrow over the hostilities against Nigerians living there. Speaking to State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting with President Buhari at State House Abuja, the Speaker says he will be meeting with his counterparts in Ghana to find lasting solution to the crisis. He adds that giving details on the matter before the trip might make the situation worse, but stresses that both countries have a long-standing relationship and must work together to resolve whatever issues they may be facing.
For Ghana tomorrow, to meet with the Speaker of the Parliament in Ghana, to look at the issues on ground as it affects our citizens, and to try and calm things down and see if there's a way forward. And I will meet with the Speaker, I think tomorrow, yes. And I informed the President, he's aware of all the way, of every single step that we're taking. And we hope that we'll come to an amicable settlement one way or the other. We're not demanding anything. We're just going there, to discuss and see how the two countries can resolve whatever the issues are. It's not about making demands, it's about just it's diplomacy. And as you know, I have set up a group called the COSAP, Conference of Speakers of African Parliaments, and we'll be looking at issues from time to time as they affect African countries.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, believes that building better societies is intricately linked to the honest implementation of ideas, contrary to popular belief that professionals leaving the political space for career politicians is responsible for reported failure in governance. Professor Osinbajo wants more Nigerians to apply their talents to proffering solutions to the myriad of problems facing the country. He said all of this and more at an event in the nation's capital, Abuja.
Some have argued that one of the challenges that we have faced as a nation is that of the reluctance of our best minds to get involved in politics, leaving it to the second 11, as they say. The error of assuming that failures in governance is on account of professionals and other decently engaged people leaving the space to career politicians. I fear that that sort of analysis is not only factually incorrect, because as a matter of fact, very many of those who hold political office are actually qualified in some discipline or the other. And as Simba points out in Every Day for the Goliaths, one of the pieces there, that the decay extends to what one would describe as learned companies such as judiciary, the banking sector, etc., which must tell us that the problem is probably deeper. In the era of the mindless tweet and other digital enablers of lightning speed communication and the puerile attention span that they nurture, the space for critical thinking on public affairs is narrowing, and the public intellectual is fast becoming an endangered category.
A reminder here, our website channelstv.com has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using a mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us live via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Dr. Akiwumi Adesina was sworn in earlier today for a second 5-year term as president of the Africa Development Bank, the AfDB. He was re-elected on August 27th, having received the unanimous votes of all the governors of the bank. After taking the oath of office, he enumerated his plan of action for the Continental Bank.
I Akiwumi Ayodeji Adesina, President of the African Development Bank,
President of the African Development Bank,
solemnly declare and undertake before the chairperson of the Board of Governors and before the members of the Board of Directors that I will abide by the provisions of the agreement
that I will abide by the provisions of the agreement
establishing the African Development Bank.
establishing the African Development Bank. So help me God. I stand today with all humility as the president elected by all. I will be the president for all. When you first elected me 5 years ago, I had a vision. 5 years later, I have yet a vision to build on our collective achievements over the next 5 years. A vision to build a much stronger and resilient African Development Bank Group with the leadership and capacity to deliver greater quality impacts for the people of Africa while remaining financially strong and sustainable. So, our focus will be on institution, people, delivery, and sustainability. Each of these are encapsulated in the following 5 areas, which will combine with the programmatic high fives that I mentioned earlier to transform the development landscape of Africa. Build a stronger institution. Strengthen human capacity. Enhance effectiveness. Deepen quality and impact. And maintain financial sustainability.
Meanwhile, the swearing-in ceremony of the AfDB president also opened up the platform for encomiums and expectations from Mr. Additional by some African leaders. Former President Goodluck Jonathan and the President of Liberia, Mr. George Weah, described Mr. Additional as one capable of expanding the frontiers of the continent's economy.
I Akinwumi Ayodeji Adesina,
President of the African Development Bank.
Dr. Akinwumi Adesina's re-election as the president of the African Development Bank for another 5-year term continues to elicit reactions from across the African continent.
So help me God.
Shortly after taking the oath of office at the bank's headquarters, goodwill messages follow.
My darling wife, Grace, my rock, my helper, my counselor, my sweetheart. I love you, honey. I am extremely grateful. Thank you.
The newly inaugurated president of ADB,
Nigeria's former president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, describes Mr. Additional as an astute technocrat with the ability to take the multilateral institution to the next level.
Let me first congratulate Additional for making history. Let me also thank all the shareholders for supporting him. And I believe that his second tenure, he will even do better. Dr. Additional worked with me as my Minister for Agriculture and Natural Resources. And I know what he's made up of. And I believe he will not disappoint the shareholders.
Another African leader, President George Weah of the Republic of Liberia, weighed in. He, like Dr. Jonathan, believes the bank is in good hands with Mr. Additional at the helm.
Dr. Adesina, my good friend, your re-election signifies Africa's and the world's confidence in your leadership.
First elected into office in 2015, Dr. Additional becomes only the 4th president to get a second term in the bank's 57-year history. following in the footsteps of Babakar Ndiaye from 1985 to 1995, Omar Kabaj 1995 to 2005, and Donald Kaberuka from 2005 to 2015.
Let's turn our attention now to politics. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has dismissed allegations from some politicians who claim that the electoral umpire is conniving with some individuals to rig the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says the allegations are part of ploys to distract it from carrying out its duties. He made the comments after administering the oath of office to the new resident electoral commissioner for Ekiti State.
Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, arrives the hall in company of some national commissioners. The business of the day is the swearing-in of a new resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Tella Ramon.
Except as may be required.
Except as may be required.
For the discharge of my duties.
For the discharge of my duty.
As resident electoral commissioner.
As resident electoral commissioner.
So help me.
So help me God.
After administering the oath of office, the INEC chairman explained some of the responsibilities ahead of the new resident electoral commissioner, especially what is expected of him as he is deployed to Ekiti State.
You should manage resources prudently. You should be firm. You should be always mindful of the fact that ours is an onerous responsibility, and you must always be on the side of the Electoral Act, our regulations and guidelines, and above all, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Outside the event, the INEC chairman responds to questions regarding preparations for the September 19th Edo State governorship election.
My assurance to the people of Edo and the people of Ondo is that they should expect from INEC free, fair, credible elections. Professional conduct will not compromise our oath of office for any reason. Whoever the people vote for becomes their governor or representative.
He also speaks on recent allegations of connivance with INEC officials to rig the forthcoming Edo State election.
We stand by our resident electoral commissioners. We know the kind of job we are doing on the eve of elections. You know, all manner of people come with all manner of accusations to slander officials of the commission, essentially in order to divert our attention from the onerous task of conducting elections in Nigeria. We won't be distracted. We know all these shenanigans. People have been doing this for a long time. It won't distract us from doing what is right.
The Edo State election is less than 3 weeks away. So far, the campaigns, utterances of some politicians have only left many to wonder whether the exercise will be free from violence, fair and credible.
As the countdown to the Edo governorship election begins, the governor of Delta State, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, and the former vice presidential candidate of the PDP, Mr. Peter Obi, have extolled the leadership style of the Edo State governor, Godwin Obaseki, noting that his achievements so far are worthy of another term in office. They were speaking as part of the PDP campaign team to Orionwon local government area of the state.
The month of September begins with blessings for the PDP campaign team at the Palace of Inogi of Ewobanusa, Professor Gregory Akinzwa. The mission of winning the September 19 Edo governorship election has taken the PDP across the wards, weighing the electorate for votes in the process. The latest stop is in Abudu, headquarters of Oriomo local government area.
Permit me to introduce.
There is a new but very familiar face on the campaign team. The former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, adds his voice to the Obaseki Shaibu re-election bid.
He must come back to complete his work. He's doing Edo proud. I can tell you, beyond this state, everybody is proud of your governor. That is why we're here. We don't want people that make fake promises. And after 4 years, they'll come and tell you what they said is politics. What he's saying is real, and he will do it.
Governor Obaseki goes ahead with campaign promises to the people.
I want to tell you that I'm fighting BDC every day.
to bring light to Abudu and Yokoyomo. So don't worry. We are working hard. We will bring light. I will do more roads here in Yokoyomo. I will do more roads in Abudu. And I will make sure that this becomes a center for education.
Another guest at the rally is the Delta State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, who drummed support for his Edo State counterpart, speaking the local language.
Yeah, 4+4. I'm not sending to Eben. Neither give one money. A berry, can you marry? A berry can to your vote.
The September 19 election date is now in sight for political parties in Edo State. The PDP says there is no time to waste. Electioneering must go on, no matter the weather conditions.
When the news at 10 returns, African Development Bank President Akiwumi Additional pledges to expand partnerships across the interests of the continent. Stay with us. Welcome back. We continue with politics in Edo State. The former chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Comrade Adams Oshomole, says he's confident that the upcoming governorship election will be peaceful and violence-free. He said this when he led the Edo State APC governorship campaign on ward-to-ward campaign rallies in Esako Central local government area of the state.
The former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole, and other party chieftains received a rousing welcome on arrival in Apana, the Ward 10 headquarters of the APC in Esako West local government area of Edo State. Mr. Oshomole rallies the crowd, asking them to be fearless in the discharge of their civic responsibility on D-Day.
We are not bloodsuckers. And on the 19th, we are going to celebrate Erwe. There will be no fight. As you see police here, so there will be more than this number. Everybody will vote. The vote will count. And Obaseki will be dismissed. Philip will be dismissed.
Drawing from history, the political leaders here say that political antecedents point to victory for the APC on the 19th of September.
Since 2007, when Adams Ali Oshomole came into politics, there has been a history and a pattern of voting. We have never lost in this domain. And it is not now that even more atrocities have been committed against the people of this domain that we will lose the place. The chances are even brighter now, and hopefully the number will go higher this time around.
APC has a manifesto, with a simple agenda: security, infrastructure, manpower, public and private leadership by example, employment, and all that we will have this for our people. But the PDP don't have any agenda.
It's a matter of weeks to the Edo State governorship election, and the APC says it's banking on the mandate of its growing number of supporters to produce the next governor of the state.
Staying with the Edo APC, the party's governorship candidate, Pastor Osage Ize-Yamu, says he's calling off his campaign rally at Useng area of the state following an accident which claimed the lives of some members of the party's campaign entourage. A statement by the chairman of the APC Media Campaign Council, Mr. John Mayaki, says the party is suspending the scheduled event to honor the departed supporters. 2 policemen attached to the campaign team were confirmed dead today when an articulated vehicle lost control and ran into the party's convoy near Oluku Junction in Ovia Northeast local government area of the state. In other news now, Nigeria has recorded 21 million internet subscribers between December 2019 and May 2020. That's according to the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, Professor Umar Dambata. Apart from that, he says the number of telephone subscription rose from 184 million to 199.3 million within the same period. The Commission believes the rise in subscriptions is due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Commission, Nigeria has achieved 42.02% broadband penetration, rising from 72 million to 80.2 million subscription.
In the quest of the International Finance Corporation's IFC to appraise the impact or role that telecommunications/ICT play in addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, IFC noted that more than any other event in human history, the critical importance that telecommunications infrastructure play in keeping businesses, governments, and societies connected and running as the economic and social disruptions caused by the pandemic have made people across the globe to rely on technology for information, for social distancing, and working from home. Working from home has become a new normal made possible by ICTs. Innovations in telecommunications have to a large extent provided the best link for humanity to share available solutions in navigating the challenges of the pandemic. This may be the reason why the number of uptakes in the different types of telecommunications services has continued to rise in spite of the lockdowns and restrictions occasioned by the pandemic.
Food sufficiency in Nigeria looks to be getting a boost when the newly completed Dangote fertilizer is operational, as the Minister of Agriculture, Sabo Nanono, disclosed this while on a tour of the facility built in Lagos. The minister, who says Dangote fertilizer is very important to the agricultural transformation agenda of the federal government, pledges the federal government's support.
Perhaps the best way to take in the sheer scale of the Dangote fertilizer plant is this bird's eye view, the enormity of which can only be rivaled by the purpose of its establishment, to boost food sufficiency in Nigeria. At least that's one reason disclosed by the Minister of Agriculture while on a tour of the fully completed facility. He also salutes the enterprise of Aliko Dangote in undertaking this project.
What he is doing, probably in the next 5-10 years, will change Nigeria agriculture. The prices of most of the things that are becoming difficult for us, for oil and for fertilizer, will come to some sense due to the singular effort by Alhaji Dangote.
The minister also comments on its impact on the fertilizer market.
I can now go home and sleep that fertilizer will be able to Nigerian farmers in this country. Forget all those merchants of fertilizer that have been confusing this country for the last 30-40 years. We have got an answer now for somebody who will deal with them and make it straight to the farmers.
The Group Executive Director, Capital Projects and Portfolio Development, Dangote Industries Limited, explains why the fertilizer produced here will be the most efficient.
What we are now trying to do is customized fertilizer. Soil condition in Kaduna is different from the soil condition in Kaduna. The climatic condition is different. And the crop could be corn, it could be rice, it could be sugar. So each crop and each type of soil requires slightly different type of fertilizer. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to analyze all the soil. We are doing a soil mapping across the country, my question. Then we are trying to make customized fertilizer.
This will also be of immense benefit to small-scale farmers who will be instrumental to Nigeria's agricultural revolution, as Dangote fertilizer plant, which will be commissioned in a few months, contributes its quota to national development.
We'll hear more from the newly re-elected African Development Bank President, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, in Business News with Teniola Shobowale.
Thanks, Amarachi. Welcome to Business News. The president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says the institution is ready to expand its partnership with countries on the continent across all areas of interest. The newly re-elected head of the AfDB, who made this known today at his swearing-in for another 5-year term, also announced plans by the multilateral financial institution to deepen the Africa Investment Forum in order to drive the partnership.
We will expand partnerships, financial partnerships, knowledge partnerships, and investment partnerships. Stronger inclusive partnerships with civil society, academia, and knowledge centers of excellence. We will reach out and tilt more global capital towards Africa, joining investment hands across the globe to support the needs of the continent. The bank will leverage its brand, its knowledge, and resources to help do more and better for Africa. We will deepen the Africa Investment Forum and make it a critical driver for these bold investment partnerships to help move Africa faster forward.
Well, the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company says it has commenced the implementation of the new service reflective tariff plan SRT across its franchise area. In a statement released today, AEDC's management explains that the service reflective tariff plan is a Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission mandated tariff structure which aims to ensure that customers enjoyed improved electricity service. In a statement released today, the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission had approved service-reflected tariffs for the electricity sector, which was due to commence on July the 1st, after it was initially postponed from April the 1st this year. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has opened an investigation into consumer complaints with services offered by dominant pay TV operators in the country. In a statement released today, the Chief Executive Officer of the FCCPC, Mr. Babatunde Irukera, says the inquiry seeks to address issues relating to unfair dealings, abuse of market power, unfair pricing, and other illegal conduct. Mr. Irukera adds that in the last 2 years, the FCCPC has conducted investigations, pursued legal action in court, secured an injunction preempting price increase by one of the dominant pay TV providers, and will continue to ensure fairness to consumers in the country. The National Pension Commission and the National Insurance Commission have signed off the guidelines on group life insurance policy for employees and CPS retiree annuity. The landmark event, which is the outcome of the collaborative effort of both regulators, also included the signing of a memorandum of understanding. The revised regulations and guidelines provide clarity on the Pensions Reform Act 2014 in areas relating to retiree life. Annuities such as ensuring safety of retiree life annuity funds and assets, prevent mis-selling by pension and insurance operators, and bringing stability into the financial sector of the economy. The Nigerian Stock Exchange has suspended trading in 6 companies over their failure to file their audited financial statement for the year ended December the 31st, 2019. The suspended companies include the Niger Insurance FTN, Cocoa Processors, Medview Airline, Capital Oil PLC, Union De Consult, and RT Briscoe Not PLC. The suspension of trading on the shares of the companies take effect today, September the 1st. Over 85% of companies listed on the NSE use the December 31st year-ending calendar as their business year. And still with the NSE, the positive trend seen within the last sessions in August at the equities market extended into the first trading day of September as total volume turnover of shares increases by 255.6%. Let's get the details from Temple Ashaju.
Thank you for joining us on the Stock Market Report. The stock market sustained yesterday's positive performance after gains in Nigerian breweries, UBA and EcoBank drove the benchmark index up today by some 34 basis points. As a result, investors gained more than 45 billion naira and trimmed the year-to-date losses of the entire market to 5.3%, giving us a sharp start to September 2020. Now, we had a 255% spike in the volume of trades, up to about 1.1 billion units of shares traded across various counters. And of course, we should say thank you to the transactions that we saw on USA Properties, Access Bank and GT Bank. Now, following the downtrend review of interest rates on savings deposits by the CBN, investors flocked to the banking stocks today to increase their stakes, as the sector ended up gaining the largest part of the pie in today's transactions. And that's your stock market report. I'm Temple Ashaju.
Thanks a lot, Temple. U.S. stock markets commenced the first trading day of September with strong rally as the three main indexes set more record highs led by tech shares. But let's find out how their counterparts in other regions ended the day. And that's Business News Tonight. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Daniel. We do have an update on the controversy between the NDDC and the National Assembly of alleged gratification. Now, NDDC Director of Projects, Dr. Cairo Jubu, has denied reports credited to him that lawmakers were paid 20 million naira each for COVID-19 palliatives, as there is no provision in the Commission's budget for such a payment. He says rather the Interim Management Committee of the NDDC has in the past few months championed a campaign to cleanse the Commission of obvious corruption and frivolous payments and restored it to its core mandate of facilitating the sustainable development of the Niger Delta region. He describes the allegation as dubious, malicious, and an infantile lie against him. He's also asking the National Assembly to disregard the report. U.S. President Donald Trump has insulted Mayor of Kenosha, Wisconsin, over his handling of the protests that have turned violent in the city, triggered by the shooting of a 29-year-old Jacob Blake by police. President Trump, who's visiting the city despite appeals from the mayor and the governor, says but for the National Guard, the city would have been burned to the ground. While in Kenosha, the president is meeting with police officers, but not the Blake family, who said previously it was because relatives had wanted lawyers present. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo has republished cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad that made them the target of a deadly terror attack in 2015. The republication comes a day before 14 people go on trial accused of helping the two Islamist attackers carry out their gun rampage on the 7th of January 5 years ago. 12 people were killed, including famous cartoonists. 5 people died in a related attack in Paris days later. The attacks began a wave of jihadist strikes across Paris. Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron has called on Lebanon to swiftly form a new government following the appointment of its new Prime Minister. Lebanon's former ambassador to Germany, Mustafa Adi, has taken on the new role with the backing of most MPs. Senior Lebanese officials have said Macron's mediation has been crucial in reaching consensus on the appointment. The last government resigned following the devastating explosion in the capital of Beirut on the 4th of August. Hong Kong has started mass COVID-19 testing under a new scheme backed by the Chinese government. But a number of pro-democracy leaders who fear the mass collection of DNA by China have called for a boycott. Authorities have dismissed the criticism as a smear campaign. They hope the universal testing effort will give an accurate picture of the pandemic's spread and help to contain the virus. Meanwhile, nearly 1.4 million children in the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the pandemic began, have returned to classes. The city accounted for nearly 80% of China's total deaths and endured nearly 11 weeks of lockdown from January. Millions of pupils have also returned to school across Europe, their rucksacks loaded with exercise books and, for many, face masks to protect them from a rise in virus cases. There are widespread concerns that with the return to schools and offices, the autumn flu season and excess mortality in winter could drive a second wave across the continent. US President Donald Trump has defended his supporters for their alleged roles in recent deadly street clashes.
He was trying to get away from them.
He suggested a teen accused of killing 2 people in Wisconsin last week and Trump fans involved in clashes in Oregon on Saturday had acted in self-defense. The violence has come amid widespread, largely peaceful anti-racism protests.
I guess he was in very big trouble. He probably would have been killed, but it's under investigation.
2 crew members from a tugboat involved in cleaning up an oil spill off Mauritius have died after their vessel collided with a barge in heavy seas. 4 other members of the crew were rescued by helicopter and 2 were still missing. The MV Wakashio, a Japanese bulk carrier, struck a coral reef off the Indian Ocean island nation's coast in July, spilling thousands of tons of oil into the sea and choking marine life in a pristine lagoon. Ousted Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has appeared in court at the start of a trial over the military coup in which he took power in 1989. Bashir is facing prosecution over his alleged role in the repression of protests against his rule. He is also wanted by the International Criminal Court on charges of alleged genocide, war crimes and crimes against humanity. The court hearing comes a day after Sudan's transitional leadership signed a peace deal with some of the rebel groups that had battled Bashir's military and allied militias in Darfur. The charity Save the Children has warned that nearly 70,000 children in sub-Saharan Africa are at risk of dying from extreme hunger before the end of this year. It has said that the COVID-19 pandemic has added to the many pressures communities face in accessing food, with an increasing number of children suffering from malnutrition at its clinics in East and Southern Africa. This warning comes after a recent report by the United Nations about rising levels of hunger around the world due to the virus. The popular video conferencing app Zoom has seen its revenues skyrocket as second quarter profits have more than doubled due to the pandemic. Profits have soared to $186 million, while customer growth has risen by 458% compared with the same period in 2019. Video conferencing apps remain crucial due to the increase in remote working. Key to Zoom's success was its ability to add paying customers as opposed to those who use its services for free. And finally, BTS, a K-pop group, have become the first all-Korean pop act to top the Billboard 100 singles chart with their new English single, Dynamite. The song reached 33.9 million US streams in its first week to debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Even South Korean President Moon Jae-in has congratulated the group, saying the boys had achieved a splendid feat. The group have said they want the song to convey positive vibes, energy, hope, love, purity, and everything. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Time now for some sports news. Andy Murray's long-awaited Grand Slam comeback ended in a sensational 5-set victory against Japan's Yoshihito Nishioka at the US Open. The Briton saved a match point in the 4th set and was behind at some point in the decider. However, Murray battled back from the brink of defeat to beat world number 49 Nishioka 4-6, 4-6, 7-6, 7-6, 6-4. Former FIFA President Sepp Blatter has been questioned by Swiss investigators about a $2 million payment he authorized in 2011 to then UEFA President Michel Platini. Blatter was quizzed about suspected criminal mismanagement at FIFA a day after Platini spent about 3 hours at the offices of Switzerland's federal prosecutors. The Confederation of African Football CAF has announced that preliminary rounds of the 2020-21 Champions League and Confederation Cup will begin in the month of November. The African Football Governing Body fixed the first legs of the two competitions from November the 20th to the 22nd, while the second leg comes up a week later. According to CAF, registration for the competition run from October the 21st to November the 5th for the first window, and the second window from November the 6th and the 9th. Europa League champion Sevilla have confirmed the signing of Ivan Rakitic from Barcelona on a 4-year deal. Sevilla will pay $1.8 million to secure the Croatian international, with a further $10.6 million in variables. And that's a wrap on sports news.
On a programming note, we'd like to inform our viewers that we would be bringing a special documentary on the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, who just assumed office for another 5-year term today. The documentary, titled Akiwumi Adesina, A Leader Per Excellence, will be coming up tonight, right after the news at 10. Please join us then. And the main news again, the Kaduna State Security Council today met to review the multidimensional response to security challenges in southern Kaduna, where several people have been killed in the past few months. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.